Hello from Worcester, Ohio. Thank you for joining us once again. My name is Deborah Kitko. I am the genealogy librarian here. This is the fourth part of a series that we're doing in terms of genealogy resources. We've talked briefly about how to get started, that you want to start with yourself, work your way backwards. You want to try to look around the home for resources that you may have that may provide clues to your family. If you have some relatives still living, you may want to try to contact them. And then, and one of the other parts, I'd ask you to actually do before you begin delving into the research part, whether you search online or you visit a library or archives or health department, anything like that, you want to make a to-do list or to create a research plan. And I thought I'd actually bridge a little bit, because I mentioned I just threw out the research plan saying, well, these are the type of sources that you want to try to look in if you're trying to answer this question. Well, if you're new to genealogy, you may not be aware of what type of sources may be available for you to try to find the information you're seeking. So I thought I'd do a transition. There's almost like a bridge between the introduction level, getting started genealogy, into the next series that we're going to be doing, which is going to talk about individual subjects such as U.S. Census records, vital records, court records, land deeds, military records. These are all coming up in our fall series. Once again, we meet Thursdays from 2 to 4. And those go through October 31st. So you don't have to come to all. If you haven't had a chance to join us, feel free to join in at any point. Each of the classes do stand alone. So today I want to just briefly talk about some of the resources. When you're doing genealogy, you're usually trying to get back to the next stage, to the parents, etc. And so sometimes you're also wanting to refine and get more specific details. For example, you may only have a birth year, and you're trying to verify the actual birth date. But once you get into vital records, you may realize that you may not find the records you're looking for. So you may not find an actual birth record or a birth certificate for the individual you are researching because they just don't exist. So for example, in Ohio, births were not recorded until 1867. So if you're trying to find a birth record for 1845 here in Ohio, you're not going to find it because those records just do not exist. So what would be some other resources you can use to try to figure out the birth date? Of course, you have the death record. Sometimes that would give you the specific birth date, according to what the informant said. You may be able to go visit a cemetery or review a marker through findagrave.com, and that may give you the actual birth date. You may actually try to find approximate birth years within the U.S. Census record. If they were living in 1900 census, that actually includes both the birth month and the birth year, which is the only U.S. Census record that does that. We'll talk more about the U.S. Census records at a later point, but that may be a place. You may be able to find some information in court records as well. Maybe your ancestors, they died at a young age and left some minor children. So chances are there may be a guardianship if there's any property involved at all. And that guardianship of those children may very well give you the actual birth date of that individual. So if you're fortunate, you also may find some information either through a land deed or parentage records. You may also find some church records that may include like a baptism, which may or may not include the birth date on that. Obituaries are also another resource. Sometimes the later marriage records will give you a clue also. Here in Wayne County, the marriage is up to 1899. It's not going to give you much information, but after 1899, going forward, you may actually find some more clues in terms of the actual birth date or the ages of individuals. And some of these sources you can also find like the parents' names as well. You also don't want to forget about compiled genealogies or family histories, but once again, these biographies or these compiled genealogies may include some errors. So you'll want to try to check some of the information. Just use them only as a guide. If you're trying to find, another option would be to look at funeral home records. Now, sometimes funeral home records are now private, but you may be able to access some of the earlier records that may actually give you some further information on the family or in terms of the birth date. If you're trying to find like the death date, a lot of those same records pertain to trying to discover that. The cemetery records, the probate court record may help out in this case, like an estate or a will. If your ancestor died without leaving a will, that means that they died intestate. Go ahead and pay attention to the estate papers. Within my own family, I had a great-great-grandfather and a great-great-great-grandmother that passed away, leaving no death certificate, but was able to find their specific death date and a probate court record. So you definitely do not want to avoid the court records, and we'll talk more about those at a later session as well. If you end up having someone that died right before the census was taken in the United States, you may find them in the mortality schedule in terms of how old they were when they died and their actual death date. If you're trying to find some descendants, some of the best ways to try to find descendants would be through the obituaries. Usually in genealogy, we say you want to start with yourself and you work your way backwards. Sometimes if you're trying to find those cousins that you're trying to make connections with, you may have to do something that we call forward genealogy. And that means that you start with the known individual and you look at like either a death certificate to give like an informant's name. You want to look at the probate records that may give a list of the heirs, or you may want to look at an obituary. And then a lot of times the obituaries or the probate record will actually give you not only the individual's name, but also the place of residence at that time that the death took place. So that gives you a starting point in which you can then go to like a directory or like the white pages, or use the Reference USA database we have here at the library to actually find out the current location of these individuals or if they're still living. So biographies, census records, court records, all these same type of information, these type of documents can give you a lot of good information on your family. So when you're actually going through and researching, you want to sort of look outside the box, think outside the box. If you're not sure when you're doing your research plan or your to-do list in terms of what resources may be best to use to try to find your ancestor or to find your information you're looking for, feel free to contact us here in our department, 330-262-0916, and just choose genealogy option when you dial in. You can also give our department an email. You can do that genealogy, that's GENEALOGY, at wcpl.info, and that's WCPL for Wayne County Public Library, info short for information. So that's genealogy at wcpl.info. Or you can also contact me directly. My email is dkitco@wcpl.info. So just stay tuned, and I do encourage you, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're actually trying to get 100 subscribers so we can actually brand our channel here at the Wayne County Public Library. Not only will you find genealogy YouTube videos on there, but you also find a lot of other activities and a lot of other sessions that's been going on here at the library. So once again, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. So this is Deborah again from the Wayne County Public Library, just checking out for now, and make sure to subscribe and continue viewing and give us some feedback in terms of what you're thinking of these videos. Thank you.